Royal protocol shattered in seconds. Prince Louis, the cheeky 7-year-old known for stealing the spotlight with funny faces, did something nobody saw coming. He bowed his head. But this wasn't just any bow. The entire room fell silent. Even King Charles froze, visibly stunned by what he was witnessing. Cameras captured everything. Within moments, the footage went viral, and the world couldn't stop talking about it. What could make a playful child suddenly act with such unexpected gravity?
These are the values which have shaped our country and the Commonwealth.
Royal events rarely leave room for the unexpected. Every movement is choreographed, every gesture watched by millions around the world. Yet during one recent appearance, something shifted. All eyes turned to Prince Louis, and within moments, the atmosphere of the entire event changed. Even King Charles seemed taken by surprise. It wasn't a dramatic outburst or a playful distraction this time. Instead, it was a gesture that carried weight far beyond what you'd expect from a 7-year-old, St. Louis bowed his head, deliberately and respectfully, in a moment that felt both natural and profound. What made this moment stand out wasn't just the act itself, but the ease with which he did it. Here was a child known primarily for his cheeky grins and boundless energy, suddenly displaying a level of awareness that reminded everyone watching that he isn't just any child. He carries a title, one rooted in centuries of royal lore, careful family planning, and a legacy that stretches back generations. When Prince Louis was born on April 23, 2018, a town crier stood outside the hospital and announced the arrival of Prince William and Catherine's third child to the waiting crowds and media. His full title was declared as His Royal Highness Prince Louis of Cambridge. That title came directly from his father's status at the time as the Duke of Cambridge. But Louis didn't receive this title simply because he was born into the royal family. In fact, under older rules, he wouldn't have been granted the title of prince at all. The history of who gets to be called a prince or princess goes back to 1917, a time when Britain was deep in the First World War. King George V, concerned about the monarchy's image and its German connections, made several significant changes. One of those changes was a formal decree known as Letters Patent, which limited who could use royal titles. According to this rule, only the children and male-line grandchildren of a reigning monarch could be styled as His or Her Royal Highness. Great-grandchildren, like Prince Louis, wouldn't automatically qualify for the title unless they were directly in line to inherit the throne. This would have left Louis in an unusual position. Without any intervention, he would have been known as Master Louis Cambridge, similar to how his cousins on his uncle's side didn't initially have royal titles. But Queen Elizabeth II saw this situation coming. In 2012, before Prince George was even born, she issued her own letters, patent. This new decree specifically stated that all children of the eldest son of the Prince of Wales would be princes or princesses, regardless of their position in the line of succession or their gender. It was a forward-thinking decision that aligned with other changes happening at the time, including reforms to succession laws that would give daughters equal rights to the throne. Because of Queen Elizabeth's decision, Louis became a prince from the moment of his birth. His parents also chose his name with considerable thought. His full name is Louis Arthur Charles, and each part carries its own significance. The name Louis is widely believed to honour Lord Louis Mountbatten, who was Prince Philip's beloved uncle and a significant figure in the royal family. Lord Mountbatten was particularly close to Prince Charles, who viewed him almost as a second father and mentor. His assassination in 1979 deeply affected the royal family, and his memory has been kept alive through various tributes, including this naming choice. Arthur appears as a middle name for both Prince William and King Charles. It's a name steeped in British royal history, evoking images of legendary kings and a connection to the nation's past. The name Charles is an obvious tribute to his grandfather, the current king. Together, these names weave Louis into a tapestry of family history and royal tradition. But a title like Prince isn't just ceremonial. It shapes nearly every aspect of how Louis will move through the world. It determines his public rank, how he'll be treated during royal visits, how the press will cover him, and how he'll be addressed both at school and when travelling abroad. The title gives him a defined place within the royal family's working structure. It affects where he sits at formal events, how he's presented to dignitaries, and what expectations the public places on him from childhood onward. Whether people fully realise it or not, a title like Prince builds a framework of expectations from the very moment it's announced. Looking toward the future, many royal watchers and historians have speculated about what additional titles Prince Louis might receive as he grows older. One strong possibility is the Duke of Edinburgh. This title has a rich history and deep connections to the family. It was originally created for Prince Philip in 1947, just before he married Princess Elizabeth. Prince Philip held this title until his death in 2021, and during those decades he transformed it into something meaningful. Through initiatives like the Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme, he built a legacy that touched the lives of young people across more than 130 countries. After Prince Philip's death, the title remained vacant for 2 years. Then, on March 10, 2023, which happened to be his 59th birthday, King Charles granted the title to his youngest brother, Prince Edward. Many people saw this as a fitting tribute, honouring both Prince Philip's wishes and Queen Elizabeth's long-standing promise. Edward and his wife Sophie had already spent years taking on many of the duties that Prince Philip once carried, so the title felt earned and appropriate. However, there's an important detail about this arrangement. Unlike previous versions of the title, it was granted to Edward only for his lifetime. This means that when Prince Edward eventually passes away, the title won't automatically go to his son James. Instead, it will return to the crown, and the reigning monarch at that time will have the option to grant it to someone else. This is where Prince Louis enters the picture. At just 7 years old, Louis is far too young to take on such responsibilities now. But the structure of his future is already being quietly shaped. He won't be next in line for the throne. That path belongs to his older brother George. But Louis will still grow up in the public eye, and his life will need to carry purpose and meaning. A title like Duke of Edinburgh could provide exactly that kind of framework. It would be a public signal that he's stepping into something substantial, something that demands commitment and service, just as it did for Prince Philip and just as it does for Prince Edward now. The question isn't just whether Louis will receive such a title, but whether he'll be ready for what it demands. Royal titles aren't simply names or honours. They come with expectations, responsibilities, and a legacy that must be upheld. For a young boy who currently loves to play, make faces at public events, and cuddle babies, the weight of such a future might seem distant. But that moment when he bowed his head suggested something important. It showed that even now, at 7 years old, Prince Louis is beginning to understand the role he was born into. When King Charles granted the Duke of Edinburgh title to his youngest brother, Prince Edward, many observers understood it as more than just a family gesture. It was a continuation of legacy, yes, but it also raised questions about the future. The decision felt deliberate but temporary, not because Edward didn't deserve the honour, but because the title itself has always represented something larger than any single person. In the careful choreography of royal planning, it may simply be waiting for the right moment to pass to someone younger, someone like Prince Louis. The story of this particular title stretches back nearly 3 centuries. King George I created the Duke of Edinburgh title in 1726, granting it to his grandson, Prince Frederick. The purpose was clear at the time. Frederick had many siblings, and the title helped distinguish him, giving him a specific role and identity within the sprawling royal family. Since then, the title has only been awarded a handful of times. Each occasion has been significant, and each recipient has been someone the monarch believed could carry both public responsibility and private duty with distinction. But it was Prince Philip who truly transformed what the Duke of Edinburgh title meant. When he married Princess Elizabeth in 1947, he became the Duke of Edinburgh, and he didn't simply wear the title as decoration, he gave it purpose and substance. Through the creation of the Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme, he impacted thousands upon thousands of young lives. The programme expanded to over 130 countries, encouraging young people to challenge themselves physically, develop new skills, volunteer in their communities, and complete expeditionary journeys. Many participants went on to become leaders in business, government, and community organisations, carrying forward the values the programme instilled in them. Prince Philip's influence extended far beyond the award scheme. He championed scientific advancement, supported environmental conservation efforts, and spoke about climate awareness decades before these topics dominated public discourse. He valued discipline and duty, but also possessed a sharp wit and an independent streak that sometimes put him at odds with tradition. His approach to royal life was direct and often unconventional, and the Duke of Edinburgh title became inseparable from his identity and his life's work. When Prince Philip died in April 2021, the title entered a period of transition. The royal family observed a mourning period, and questions arose about what would happen next. Would the title be retired out of respect? Would it be passed immediately to another family member? King Charles, still Prince of Wales at the time, had decisions to consider. He knew his mother, Queen Elizabeth, had long hoped that the title would eventually go to Edward. Philip himself had expressed similar wishes, recognizing that Edward and his wife Sophie had quietly taken on many of the roles and responsibilities he once carried. On Edward's 59th birthday in March 2023, King Charles made the decision official. He granted his brother the Duke of Edinburgh title, but with specific conditions. Unlike previous iterations, this version was explicitly designated as a lifetime appointment. When Edward dies, the title will not pass to his son. It will return to the crown, available for reassignment by whoever sits on the throne at that time. This detail is crucial because it keeps the door open for future possibilities. Prince Louis is still a child, but his trajectory is already being mapped in ways the public doesn't always see. He's third in line to the throne, which means he'll never be king unless something extraordinary and tragic happens. His older brother George will one day wear the crown, and the entire royal apparatus is already preparing for that reality. But what about Louis? What role will he play? What will give his life meaning and direction within the constraints of royal duty? This is where the Duke of Edinburgh title becomes more than just speculation. It represents a path forward, a way to channel Louis's energy and personality into something meaningful. The title wouldn't just be honorary. It would come with expectations. It would require him to engage with causes, represent the monarchy at events, and uphold a standard of service that Prince Philip established and Prince Edward continues to maintain. Of course, other titles remain possibilities. The Duke of York is one example, though it carries complications. Traditionally, this title has gone to the second son of the monarch. It's currently held by Prince Andrew, but given the controversies surrounding him in recent years, there's considerable doubt about whether the title will ever be reissued. The monarchy has worked hard to distance itself from scandal, and reviving the Duke of York title for a new generation might bring unwanted associations. If that title remains off the table, then Louis could receive an entirely different dukedom, one chosen specifically by the reigning monarch when the time is right. But the Duke of Edinburgh holds symbolic weight that few other titles can match. It connects directly to Prince Philip, a man who shaped modern royal life in profound ways. It honours a legacy of service, innovation, and commitment to young people. For Louis, carrying that title would mean stepping into very large shoes, but it would also give him a clear sense of purpose. What we know for certain is that Prince Louis's title and position aren't accidents. They're the result of legal decisions, family considerations, and centuries of royal tradition. His full title at birth, His Royal Highness Prince Louis of Cambridge, later changed to Prince Louis of Wales when his father became Prince of Wales, places him firmly within the line of succession and the public consciousness. He's part of the House of Windsor, the royal house that has defined British monarchy since King George V created it in 1917. The House of Windsor itself emerged during a moment of crisis. Britain was fighting Germany in World War I, and the royal family still carried its original German name, Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. King George V recognized that this association was damaging public perception of the monarchy during wartime. So he made a bold choice. He changed the family name to Windsor, something that sounded distinctly English and far more relatable to the British public. The decision worked. The name stuck, and it has remained the official designation for every monarch since, from George V through his son George VI, then Queen Elizabeth II, and now King Charles III. Prince Louis's connection to the Windsor line runs directly through his father, Prince William. As the firstborn son of King Charles III and the late Princess Diana, William represents both continuity and change. He's the heir, the future king, and a symbol of the monarchy's next chapter. But his roots extend beyond just Windsor tradition. Through his mother Diana, Louis is also connected to the Spencer family, a lineage known for independence, strong convictions, and a deep sense of justice. Diana herself brought warmth and emotional openness to the royal family during her time, qualities that challenged the more reserved traditions of the past. That warmth didn't vanish with her death. It lives on in William's approach to fatherhood and, by extension, in how Louis is being raised. Then there's Louis's mother, Catherine. Before she became the Princess of Wales, she was simply Kate Middleton. Her family background looks nothing like traditional royal lineage. The Middletons didn't hold titles or estates. They ran a business, attended local schools, and lived like millions of other families across Britain. But what Catherine brought into the royal family wasn't just normalcy, it was balanced. She carries herself with calm and grace, speaks in straightforward terms, and shows affection openly. Her influence is visible in all three of her children, but perhaps especially in Louis. They don't appear stiff or overly rehearsed in public. They act like children who are loved, secure, and encouraged to be curious about the world around them. The dynamic between the three Wales children is also worth noting. Prince George, as the eldest, already carries a certain weight. He's more serious, more focused, and even at his young age he seems aware that his future will be different from his siblings. He's being prepared to lead, and that preparation has already begun. Princess Charlotte sits between her two brothers, but she often acts like she's the one in charge. She's confident, composed, and quick to step in when Louis starts testing boundaries or pushing limits. And then there's Louis himself, the wild card. He's the one who dances during solemn royal events, pulls funny faces during parades, and makes people laugh when they least expect it. But anyone who assumes Louis is simply the class clown would be missing something important. He knows his place. He knows he's loved. And he's not being raised in the shadow of his brother. He's being raised alongside George with a role that's being carefully shaped for something different. Something that will allow him to contribute without bearing the impossible weight of the crown itself. Whether that role eventually includes the Duke of Edinburgh title or another path entirely remains to be seen. But one thing is clear. Prince Louis is part of a legacy that stretches across generations, and that legacy is already shaping who he's becoming. At the Platinum Jubilee in 2022, everyone expected Queen Elizabeth to be the centre of attention. It was her final major celebration, marking 70 years on the throne, and the entire event had been planned with precision and reverence. But from the moment the royal family appeared on the Buckingham Palace balcony, it became clear that someone else was about to steal the show. Prince Louis, then just 4 years old, waved enthusiastically at the crowds, covered his ears during the loud fly-past, and fidgeted his way through what was supposed to be a dignified moment. In a sea of carefully composed faces and formal altiers, military uniforms, his unfiltered reactions stood out dramatically. The cameras caught everything. Louis wiggling in his seat, pulling faces at his mother, pretending to conduct an invisible orchestra along with the music. At one point, he stuck his tongue out playfully, and Catherine leaned in close to gently redirect him. It wasn't misbehavior in the traditional sense. It was simply a young child being himself during a long, boring event that held little interest for someone his age. But the images spread instantly. Within hours, photos of Louis were everywhere, shared across social media platforms, turned into memes and discussed on news programs around the world. What made the reaction so interesting was its tone. People weren't mocking him, they were charmed. Parents saw their own children in his restlessness. The public, often critical of royal extravagance or perceived detachment, suddenly saw something relatable. For a brief moment, the monarchy didn't seem untouchable or distant. It seemed like any other family trying to keep a young child entertained during a lengthy public ceremony. Louis became an unexpected symbol of authenticity in an institution often criticized for being overly formal and out of touch. Catherine's response to Louis during those moments mattered just as much as his behavior itself. Rather than appearing embarrassed or frustrated, she stayed calm. She leaned down to speak with him at eye level, gently redirected his attention, and remained patient throughout. She didn't scold him harshly or try to forcibly suppress his energy. Instead, she managed the situation with a combination of warmth and quiet firmness. Many viewers praised her approach, noting that her parenting in public seemed thoughtful and measured. It wasn't just about controlling a child's behavior, it was about guiding him through a difficult situation while allowing him to remain himself. This wasn't the only time Louis captured public attention, though the Jubilee certainly marked his most memorable appearance. At the traditional Christmas walkabout at Sandringham, he was seen shaking hands with members of the public, smiling politely, and showing a more composed side. He walked alongside his siblings, waved when appropriate, and seemed to understand that this was a different kind of event. During King Charles's coronation ceremonies, Louis appeared even more focused. He He walked with his family during formal processions, sat quietly during significant portions of the service, and displayed a seriousness that surprised those who remembered his Jubilee antics. It didn't mean his energy had disappeared. He's still the most expressive of the three Wales children, but it showed growth, an awareness that different occasions call for different behaviour. Those who have met Prince Louis or observed him closely describe a child who is lively, spirited, and full of curiosity. There's a particular sparkle in his eye that some long-time royal watchers say reminds them of a young Princess Diana. She too had a natural charm, a spontaneity that made people feel drawn to her even when she was uncomfortable or unsure. Diana was unpredictable in the best sense, someone who could shift the energy of a room simply by being present. Louis seems to carry some of that same quality. He doesn't perform for the cameras exactly, but he also doesn't seem intimidated by them. He simply exists as himself, and that authenticity resonates. What's become clear is that Louis is helping to modernize the royal family in a way no official statement or carefully planned interview ever could. People who might normally ignore royal events now tune in specifically to see what he'll do. Will he sit still this time? Will he wave? Will he make another funny face? The unpredictability keeps things interesting, and it bridges a significant gap between centuries of rigid tradition and a contemporary public that craves genuine human moments. In a family often known for maintaining composure at all costs, Louis is refreshingly unscripted. But this raises important questions about what happens next. What happens when that free-spirited energy has to mature into something more structured? How will William and Catherine guide Louis as he grows older and the expectations placed on him become more complex? The answer seems to lie in how they're already raising all three of their children with an approach that blends emotional openness, clear boundaries, and an emphasis on maintaining as much normalcy as possible. One of the most significant shifts William and Catherine have made compared to previous generations is their openness about emotional well-being. Both have spoken publicly about the importance of mental health, and those values are reflected in how they run their household. It's been reported that their home is one where emotions aren't hidden or dismissed. If something is bothering one of the children, particularly someone as expressive as Louis, they talk it through rather than brushing it aside. This kind of emotional accessibility represents a major departure from the stiff upper lip mentality that once defined royal parenting. But alongside that emotional warmth, there are also clear routines and firm boundaries. The Wales household isn't chaotic or permissive. Bedtimes are respected. Screen time is limited. Schoolwork is taken seriously. Louis might be the most energetic of the three, but even he follows the structure his parents have established. Friends of the family have noted that there's a strong sense of balance in the home. Affection is given freely, but discipline isn't neglected. When Louis has acted out in public, we've seen Catherine redirect him gently but firmly. The message is clear. The children are allowed to be kids, but there's an underlying consistency that keeps everything grounded. Part of that structure includes a strong emphasis on outdoor activities. The children are frequently spotted playing sports, helping in the garden at their home in Windsor, or going on walks through the countryside. William and Catherine believe in the value of being outside, not just for physical health, but as a way to teach resilience, calm, and an appreciation for simple pleasures. This approach echoes Catherine's own upbringing in a family that valued outdoor play and hands-on experiences. It also aligns with her long-standing public interest in early childhood development, a cause she has championed for years through various initiatives and research projects. What stands out most clearly is how involved William and Catherine are in the daily lives of their children. Despite their royal duties, official engagements, and public responsibilities, they make time to drop off and pick up their kids from school. They attend school events not as distant royal figures, but as ordinary parents. Teachers and other parents at Lambrook School, where all three children are currently enrolled, have commented that William and Catherine make a noticeable effort to blend in. They don't arrive with excessive security fanfare or formal attire. They show up as mum and dad, chatting with other parents and making sure their children feel supported. This effort to maintain normalcy extends to how they handle media exposure. While official photographs are released periodically, often taken by Catherine herself, who is an accomplished photographer, the couple is fiercely protective of their children's privacy. Paparazzi photographs are actively discouraged, and legal action has been taken in the past when boundaries were crossed. William and Catherine are careful to ensure that any public appearances are appropriate for the children's ages and comfort levels. It's a delicate balance between satisfying public interest in the royal family and shielding George, Charlotte, and Louis from the intense pressures that come with their positions. The strategy seems to be working. The public sees enough of the children to feel connected to them, but not so much that their childhoods are consumed by constant scrutiny. Louis's playful moments become highlights precisely because they're not overexposed. When he does appear, it feels special rather than routine. And when he displays growth or maturity, as he did during the coronation, people notice and appreciate it. Looking at how Louis is being raised compared to previous generations of royals, the difference is striking. There's warmth where there was once distance. There's conversation where there was once silence. There's encouragement to express feelings where there was once an expectation to suppress them. William and Catherine haven't abandoned tradition entirely, but they've softened its harder edges. They've created an environment where their children can understand their responsibilities without being crushed by them, where duty and happiness aren't seen as opposites, but as things that can coexist. For Prince Louis specifically, this balanced approach may prove essential. He's growing up knowing he'll never be king, but also knowing he has an important role to play. He's learning that being himself is valued, but that certain situations require composure and respect. He's discovering that his family loves him unconditionally, but that their public lives come with expectations he'll need to meet. How he navigates all of this in the years ahead will depend largely on the foundation his parents are building now, one careful day at a time. Royal parenting hasn't always looked like what we see from Prince William and Catherine today. In fact, if you trace the history of how royal children were raised over the past 2 centuries, the differences are profound. Each generation carried its own approach, often shaped by the social expectations of the time, the demands of monarchy, and deeply ingrained ideas about what it meant to prepare a child for royal life. Understanding this history helps explain just how revolutionary William and Catherine's methods truly are. Queen Victoria set a tone that would echo through several generations. Despite having 9 children, she was known for being emotionally distant and often cold toward them. Historical letters and personal records describe her as stern, formal, and particularly harsh with her sons. For Victoria, children were meant to be obedient, presentable, and largely kept out of the way. The idea of getting down on the floor to play with them or having heartfelt conversations simply didn't exist in her world. She believed firmly in the old saying that children should be seen and not heard, and she certainly didn't believe in doting on them. Affection was reserved, discipline was strict, and emotional expression was discouraged. This formal approach continued in various forms through subsequent generations. When King George V and Queen Mary raised their children, including the future King George VI, there were small improvements, but the general atmosphere remained rigid. George V was known to be intimidating and distant with his sons. George VI and his wife Elizabeth, who later became known as the Queen Mother, were somewhat warmer than their predecessors, but still maintained a traditional distance. They weren't particularly involved in the day-to-day care of their daughters, Elizabeth and Margaret. Nannies handled most of the practical parenting, while the parents appeared for formal moments and special occasions. When Princess Elizabeth became Queen Elizabeth II and started her own family, she largely followed the same pattern. Her role as monarch always came first, and this meant extended periods away from her children. She and Prince Philip travelled extensively for royal duties, sometimes leaving Prince Charles, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, and Prince Edward for weeks or even months at a time. Emotional closeness wasn't considered necessary or even appropriate. The priority was duty, continuity, and maintaining the dignity of the Waffen crown. For Prince Charles, this emotional distance had a lasting and painful impact. His childhood was marked by isolation, pressure, and a lack of warmth. He was sent to Gordonstoun, a boarding school in Scotland known for its harsh discipline and austere environment. The school emphasized physical toughness and emotional restraint, values that Prince Philip believed would strengthen his son's character. But Charles has spoken over the years, though carefully, about how emotionally difficult those years were. He felt isolated from his family, starved for affection, and crushed under expectations he wasn't emotionally equipped to handle. The rigid royal structure around him left little room for vulnerability or genuine emotional expression. Then came Princess Diana, and everything changed. Diana broke nearly every unspoken rule of royal parenting. She hugged her boys in public, something that simply wasn't done. She kissed them at events, knelt down to speak with them at eye level, and showed physical affection without hesitation or embarrassment. She took William and Harry on official royal tours when they were young, an unprecedented move that other royal mothers had never considered. She also made deliberate efforts to expose them to life beyond palace walls. She enrolled them in regular schools rather than relying solely on private tutors. She took them to fast food restaurants, theme parks, and homeless shelters. She wanted them to see and understand the world most people lived in, not just the privileged bubble of royalty. Diana's warmth and openness weren't just about affection, they were also acts of protection. She had endured the coldness of royal life herself, felt the isolation and the pressure, and she was determined that her sons wouldn't suffer the same emotional deprivation. Her instinct to shield William and Harry from that vacuum helped fundamentally shift how the public viewed royal parenting. It also created new expectations for future generations. People began to believe that royals could be both dutiful and affectionate, both formal and human. William absorbed all of this. He watched his father struggle with emotional expression and saw the damage that distance had caused. He also saw how his mother tried to rewrite the story, to bring warmth and normalcy into their lives despite the constraints. Now, as a parent himself, William seems determined to blend the best of both worlds. He carries the steadiness and sense of duty expected of a future king, but he's also incorporated the emotional availability that Diana modeled. He speaks openly about mental health, engages gently with his children in public, and clearly prioritizes being present in their lives in ways his father and grandmother never were. This isn't just about William's personal choices, it's about a deliberate effort to change the trajectory of royal parenting for future generations. Catherine has been equally instrumental in this shift. Coming from a non-royal background, she brings a different perspective, one less burdened by centuries of protocol. Her own childhood was filled with family holidays, outdoor activities, and close relationships with her parents and siblings. She's carried those values into her own family, creating an environment where George, Charlotte, and Louis can experience both the privileges and the responsibilities of royal life without losing their sense of self. The contrast between past and present becomes even clearer when you look at how royal children appear in public today compared to decades ago. Historical photographs of young royals often show stiff, uncomfortable-looking children standing at attention, dressed formally, rarely smiling. There's a visible tension in many of those images, a sense that these children were performing rather than simply being. Today, things look remarkably different. George, Charlotte, and Louis are often photographed in relaxed settings. We see them playing, laughing, squabbling like normal siblings, and waving confidently at crowds. These moments are part of a conscious pattern where warmth and relatability matter just as much as protocol. The old standard emphasized duty above everything else. Royal children were raised to serve, and their individual personalities often came second to their titles and responsibilities. But William and Catherine have fundamentally rewritten that approach. Their children are still being prepared for lives of service, particularly George, who will one day be king. But they're also being encouraged to develop as individuals, to understand their place in the world without being overwhelmed or defined solely by it. The public has noticed this shift and responded positively. In previous generations, royals were often viewed as distant figures, untouchable and removed from everyday concerns. But the growing affection toward the Wales family has much to do with their visibility and their humanity. William and Catherine haven't abandoned tradition, but they've made it more accessible. They've shown that you can honor the past while adapting to the present. That balance between grace and openness has reshaped how many people, especially younger generations, view the monarchy. This evolution also carries significant implications for the future. Prince George is being groomed as a modern monarch, someone who understands not just how to lead, but how to listen and connect. He's learning that compassion and emotional intelligence are just as important as duty and discipline. Charlotte and Louis, meanwhile, are growing up in an environment that values them as individuals, not just as royal spares or backup options. They're being taught that their lives can have meaning and purpose even without the crown. Of course, none of this happens in isolation. Every photograph, every school appearance, every candid moment at a sporting event is captured, shared, and analysed by millions. The royal family knows the media, is always watching, and that scrutiny could easily become oppressive. But instead of resisting it entirely, William and Catherine have learned to manage that spotlight carefully. Their parenting has become part of the public image, and they've worked to make it feel authentic rather than staged. They share enough to maintain connection with the public, but they also draw firm boundaries to protect their children's well-being. As Prince Louis continues to grow, he's becoming part of a larger story about a royal family that feels more connected and human than ever before. His playful moments, his cheeky grins, and his genuine bond with his siblings remind people that even within palace walls, there's laughter, learning, and love. He represents a new generation being raised with both tradition and tenderness, with both duty and emotional support. The shift we're witnessing isn't just about one family or one set of parents making different choices. It's about the monarchy itself adapting to survive in a modern world. People today expect more from public figures. They want authenticity, vulnerability, and evidence that those in positions of privilege understand the lives of ordinary people. William and Catherine seem to grasp this reality. They're raising their children to be capable of carrying forward royal traditions, while also being emotionally equipped to handle the pressures and expectations that come with those roles. Whether George, Charlotte, and Louis will grow up with a stronger sense of duty or a deeper sense of self may not be an either-or question. Perhaps the real achievement of this new era of royal parenting is that these children are being given both. They're learning what it means to serve, but they're also learning who they are beyond their titles. They're being prepared for public life, but they're also being protected and nurtured as individuals. That balance, so rarely achieved in previous generations, may well be what defines the monarchy's future and determines whether it remains relevant in the decades to come.